Welcome to the Pink Pill RX podcast, hosted by Katie and Jay Fillmore, where we navigate complex and thought-provoking topics surrounding women with a focus on education. For shorter form content, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at Caters88 or Pink Pill RX.
That's KATORS88.
If you enjoy this podcast, please give us a follow and maybe a nice review.
Jay.
Yeah.
If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Are we talking an entree and two sides?
Sure. We'll say a plate's worth.
Okay, so no appetizer, dessert, got it. My dad's mashed potatoes.
That's what you would eat every day?
No, you said I got a plate full, so that's part of the plate.
Oh, okay.
It's a meal. Okay, it's not one food, it's a whole meal. I would do that. What kind of protein do I want? Okay. Ribeye steak, my father's mashed potatoes, corn, and green beans.
Okay, well, mine's pretty simple. Tacos, obviously.
Oh, you said meal.
That is a meal. Tacos
no, I know.
is a meal.
No, I feel like mine's too exuberant now, or too like fancy.
I mean, you have to eat it for the rest of your life,
Well,
so
that's what I would pick. Oh, yeah.
you can do what you need to do.
Tacos is good because can you switch up the meat? Can you switch up the toppings, or do you have to keep the taco the same?
No question is simple. There's so much nuance.
There's really not a simple question. That's probably why I enjoyed mathematics and enjoyed philosophy and theology.
Probably. How was school going?
Good. This class is a lot easier than my last class. My last class blew my mind, though. It was on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, the more I learn about Jesus and his, through the cultural lens, the more and more I like him and love him. He's so good. But there's so much that I didn't know that I now do know, looking at it through the right cultural lens, you know? This one's on church history, which is meh so far. I love church history, especially before the Council of Nicaea, the early church fathers, but it's not super deep. It's just kind of a broad overview.
We should do an episode sometime on how we can identify as Christian while also being feminist.
Yeah, that'd be great, especially because the more I learn about Jesus through this cultural lens, the more he is much more of a progressive figure than people might think.
Why do you think we don't teach through the cultural lens?
I don't know. Well, first of all, this is where I make it complicated. Who's we?
The people that have the microphones.
Because there's all kinds of people in that group of we. You have your Eastern Orthodox, your Roman Catholic, you got your evangelical, you have your mainline Protestant, you've got, I think I know why people of a fundamentalist lens don't, because it's just a literal surface reading of the text. You just read it like it is, which is very inappropriate if you want to know what the actual people speaking in these stories, what they actually meant. So I think that's one thing. I don't know if people, I don't know, because do you not know it? Do you have an agenda versus letting the text wash over you? Do you want to just get a specific message across and use the text as an instrument to do that? Is it because you follow more church history and don't do more modern exegetical practices or something? I mean, I don't know.
I think if you taught from a cultural lens, you'd constantly be challenging religious leaders.
That's true. Ironically, that is the bulk of what, here's a synopsis of my graduate school class of the Gospels. Jesus is pro almost everybody. And he's always coming up against these religious leaders. But it's worse than I thought. It's over and over and over and over again. And sometimes they're trying to trap him. Sometimes they are actually humiliating him, and we would have no idea looking at the text if it weren't for the proper cultural lens. For example, when the woman comes in to anoint Jesus' feet with expensive perfume and washes his feet with her hair and her tears, there is I could do a whole episode on that. But one of the things is that in that story, they didn't offer him water to wash his hands or his feet. That's why she had to do it. And he was invited to this house. Not offering him that and there's a couple other things that go along with that fact. That's just one fact. But it was to like disrespect, humiliate him in front of all these people at this dinner at this guy's house. We'd have no idea because it's not stated that that's what's happening. But to a cultural reader of the time, you would know that's what's happening. No one offered him water for his feet or a towel.
Well, don't you need to wash before you can eat?
Yeah, you have to be clean.
And so then he wouldn't have been able to eat.
Perhaps, yeah, he might not have been able to eat because I think it was a Pharisee's house, and they were all about like they would do extra cleaning rituals that were not even in the Old Testament because it was oral tradition.
Why do you say he's pro almost everybody?
Well, he wasn't really pro Pharisees or Sadducees or scribes as groups. I'm sure there was individuals who departed from those groups, but like Paul was a Pharisee, as an example.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the history
He's
lesson there.
always bumping into these guys. It is like a trope. Truly a trope. I'm like, oh, here come the Three Stooges again, coming to trap Jesus. Coming down the road to disrespect him in public and slight him and humiliate him, but he always turns it around. Every freaking story.
Yeah, even like the Sermon on the Mount. It's all about that, isn't it?
I would love to do just like a story time with some nice music in the back room, kind of like when your teacher would read to you.
Yeah.
And you could just close your eyes and hear about what these knuckleheads were trying to do, how Jesus not only turned it around, but gave just mic drop moments and like really countercultural truths that were also very beautiful and artistically expressed. Like I would just close your eyes. I'll have some music on. I'll unpack Jesus on this week's episode of the religious leaders and Jesus.
Here's the question: was Jesus a feminist?
Oh yeah, absolutely he was. Well, I mean, how would you define feminist in for our listeners? And then I can have a better way to answer that.
Feminism is, I'll read you an actual, like, the definition.
Okay.
This is Wikipedia version.
Okay.
But is a socio-political and ideological movement that seeks to establish and achieve equality between the sexes in political, economic, social, and personal spheres. At its core, feminism advocates for the belief that women in all genders should have equal rights, opportunities, and treatment across society.
Girl, we could do a month and just do 4 episodes on the feminist Jesus. We have Jesus and the woman of Samaria. There's a lot to unpack there. The woman who washed Jesus' feet. There's a lot to unpack there. This would be a big episode. The woman who was caught in the act of adultery. That's a big freaking story. There's a lot to unpack there. You see a consistent elevation of women, not just from Jesus, but from early Christianity as compared to the Jews and Hellenist in different attributes of Hellenistic culture.
Yeah, I think a common misnomer is that Christianity has always been conservative in that aspect.
Yeah.
And when reality, that's a newer phenomenon, that it has become more and more conservative. And the fundamentalist movement is a new phenomenon. That is not something, the Bible was never read at this surface level, matter of fact reading. That's like a new thing.
Yeah, that
historically.
That in particular is a very new thing. In terms of like women not being equal under Christianity and the conservative versus being more progressive with women, that is a bit older. But I know for sure in the first like couple centuries, it was much more what we would call a progressive or culture and feminist culture regarding women in the church. At the beginning.
Well, that's not what we're talking about today.
No, but that was fun. You want to get me lined up? Oh, yeah. Katie, we should do 4 episodes on just Jesus as a feminist.
Yeah. Hey, guys, if that's something that you'd be interested in, you should comment and make that known.
Yeah. If you're listening on Spotify, you can comment. If you're listening on Apple, you can always go over to our TikTok, PinkPillRx or Cators, Kators 88, and leave some comments because if that's something you guys want, I would love to sit down and put together some episodes about that.
Yeah, and you can email us too at pinkpillrx@gmail.com.
Right.
So today I want to talk about something that moves across my desk often. That's what I'll call it.
Something just came across my desk.
Yeah, I want to share a follower's story, but this story unfortunately is not unique in its core elements because I have gotten emails about this and messages about this before, this kind of attitude of kind of men centering themselves in women's stories, especially when these stories are traumatic. And what is behind that? How do we avoid that? And maybe some tips for men who desire to respond differently. This email I got from a follower. I'm going to keep her name anonymous. And this is what she says. Hey there. First of all, I want to thank you for your podcast. I don't say this lightly, but it has changed my life. Jay's reactions heal me on a level that I never thought possible. And your research on these important topics makes me feel seen and heard and empowered with knowledge. I have a story to share. Even if it doesn't make it into your book, I think I will feel much better simply sharing this with somebody. The first relationship I was in after leaving my abusive husband was a whirlwind in many ways. I was still deeply traumatized and had no business trying to date anyone, but I was desperate for love, care, and approval. I wanted to know that I wasn't damaged beyond repair, and I wanted someone to love me without hurting me. My new partner was aware of the abuse, physical and verbal, I had endured in the hands of my ex-husband. But there was something I had never told him. I decided to share that something around 6 months into our relationship. We had just parked in front of my house, about to go in, when I asked him if we could stay in the car for a little while because I had something to share with him. Then I uttered the words, "He raped me." I had never told that to anyone, not to my friends, not to my family, no one. Talking about the rape that took place in my marriage continuously throughout the years felt somehow more shameful to share than the emotional abuse or even the times he had gotten physically violent with me. My mother warned me of the strangers in dark alleyways and corners of shady bars. She taught me to walk with the keys in between my fingers and never to walk home alone in the dark. I never even considered that the danger could live in my own home, cook food with me, pay bills with me, take the dog out to walks with me. It never even crossed my mind. Sexual violence by the one who is supposed to cherish and protect you is a violation that I still can't quite wrap my mind around. My partner, to whom I had just told my deepest, darkest secret to, looked at me blankly, processing what he just heard. Then he got angry. He started shaking and shouting. His face was an enraged mask, and he kept repeating that he would kill my ex. I immediately went into caretaker mode, taking on his emotions, trying to comfort him, trying to regulate his mood and calm him down. He didn't respond to my touch or my words, and I was getting into a disassociated state of survival reminiscent of my former marriage. He then simply blurted out, "This is too much for me. I'm going home." I stumbled out of the car, and he drove off angrily, tires screeching as he went. I didn't hear from him until the next day when he texted me and apologized for not controlling his feelings better. He didn't ask how I was doing or say anything else on the matter. I was used to being mistreated, so I took the shame upon my shoulders and continued being in a relationship with him. Now I realize I didn't think I deserved any better. Throughout the relationship, I tried talking to him about my experience and the experience of other women around me, sharing my feelings, thoughts, and trauma, sending him links on news articles about the horrors women face, and even asking him to listen to a few songs that I felt describe my own experience. His response? Quote, "I wish you would stop sharing about this stuff constantly. It's really affecting my mental health. I don't need to hear about stuff like this all the time." I have never talked about my rape since. I have dropped subtle hints here and there to my friends and my current therapist, but I've never said the actual word again. I started therapy recently and I'm hopeful that I will one day be able to speak the word rape to someone better equipped to handle their feelings and take into account mine. Someone who will respond with the kindness and compassion that I deserved back when I first uttered those words. I hope you're taking good care of yourself while writing this book and doing the podcast, surrounded by so many horrible topics and experiences. I'm sending you strength, prayers, and hugs. Do you have any initial thoughts?
Probably chronologically backwards in the story. First of all, this guy is saying it's affecting his mental health to have to hear about stories like this all the time.
He's giving me a look, guys.
I am giving her a look. Yeah. Bro, you're just hearing about a few stories. You're not living anything. You know what I mean? Like she has I don't mean to like that's an exacerbated laugh because I can't believe like did he not hear himself? Like this is affecting my mental health, you sharing these things. Dude, she has lived all these like a lot of these things. And she's trying to get you to understand where she's coming from and to feel some empathy with and for her. And you're just like, hey, can you stop sending me this stuff? Like, it's really bothering me.
What about his?
It's a bit for connection and to be like, hey, like and I get, I being in a relationship, following the relationship she was in, but also just like in a relationship in general, you want empathy from your partner. You want your partner to want to understand you. You want your partner to be emotionally supportive of you. And it's just that that's like a horrible, horrible fumble just in that part of the conversation. I'm not even talking about the initial one where she's sharing about her assault.
Yeah, what about that when he responds, I want to kill him?
I need to think about that for a moment because there's some big flags there.
Well, I guess one of my questions is, have you been in any similar situations where someone has shared about their past relationship? And it doesn't have to be like rape necessarily, but past abuses in their relationships. Mm-hmm. And it has risen within you similar feelings of, I want to beat this person up, or I want to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're. But that's not the only feeling, though. But like, I have felt enraged that somebody did something, and I want there to be justice done. Which there needs to be something done with this person. Like I want them to feel some pain.
Mm-hmm.
But if the anger you feel, like he left the conversation. He left the conversation because now his whole body, his emotions, and his mind are focused on the guy who did it, and he's no longer present for the one who's the victim. Because now he's got this aggression he wants to take out on this other guy, but he's like he has left the conversation. His mind is totally somewhere else now. Somehow his rage has overridden any type of love or empathy for her, and there's more there. I just can't get to it it's just.
Well, let's unpack it because I do have some thoughts, and I did some research on this as to why men center themselves in these situations. Why are they bringing main character energy to supporting character circumstances?
Yeah, he's in a supporting character role, but he brought main character energy to it.
Yes. So men are socialized to see themselves as protectors, first of all. And that is just a way that we socialize men. They're raised with this idea that their role is to defend women. And when they hear about harm, they imagine themselves in an action role that usually involves revenge or punishment or saving.
Sure.
So it makes the story about their response instead of your experience is what that does. Also, they struggle with discomfort and avoidance of vulnerability. Not saying just men struggle with that, but men, if we were to do a caricature overarching in general, the way that men are socialized, they are not socialized to be comfortable with vulnerability. So hearing about this sexual violence forces them to confront very painful realities, including possibly their own potential complicity in a culture that allows that. It could come from a fragile sense of masculinity. The rage and the withdrawal or the it's too much for me reactions stem from fragile self-concepts. If they cannot tolerate this emotional discomfort, they flip into anger or avoidance. And they end up managing their emotions instead of receiving support, or instead of giving support for yours.
There is no need to defend because what happened already took place. That's not your role now. Now your role is to support her. You don't have a defending role anymore. Unless there's like an ongoing order of protection and this person's harassing or something like that. Like your role isn't to defend. Like this has happened. This is a real thing that has occurred. You were not there. Now your role is now the question is, what do you do now that it's happened? Because the energy you have to defend, that might be a noble thing. And like you said, it is conditioned in you. Like that's not appropriate now in this situation. But maybe that's all the only tool you have to know what to do, because you don't know what to do to support.
Yeah. And we will get in a little later here to like possibly some ways that men can be more supportive in those situations. So not going to leave, if any men actually listen to this podcast, hopefully there are some. And if there are, that's awesome. We'll have some things at the end here, some ideas and stuff. I also see multiple defense mechanisms happening here. Like there's projection going on. They're putting their emotions on you. It's hurting my mental health to hear this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild.
There's some displacement. Instead of like engaging with her pain, they've displaced it into like this fantasy of violence against the abuser, making themselves the main character of the fantasy.
Mm.
You know? And then there's this denial, almost like protecting themselves from unbearable truth by shutting down the conversation completely.
Yeah, he never circled back to it.
Yeah.
So by not opening it back up, because what she's not going to, you just freaked out and left, apologize for your emotions and never, like, she's not going to want to bring it up. Now it's been volleyed to you. And you are not volleying it back. So you're letting it die. You're letting the conversation die.
Yeah.
And so therefore you are like shutting it down.
And Jay, I'm not joking you, like this trope,
mm-hmm.
especially when disclosing sexual violence, mm-hmm. is very common with men.
I could see that. I mean, yeah. I mean, I felt those feelings before.
I have gotten emails about it. I've gotten messages about it of how do I get my boyfriend to stop centering himself in this space?
Yeah, like it's not about your anger. That's not what this conversation and this event is not about your anger. It is about what happened to her.
Yeah, and maybe being more curious about if you are angry, where, you know, that's something to explore on your own.
Yes, because I mean, emotions are there for a reason, and it's good to explore, but it's not the time or place to do that with her, because then you're usurping the focus of the conversation.
Yeah. So I did read some articles in preparation for this, and I found some interesting kind of just little tidbits that I hadn't thought about before when it comes to men and conditioning. And, you know, the stuff that we kind of started out with is kind of like basic. Like we know that men are conditioned to be protectors and mm-hmm. all that stuff.
I think there's epigenetics in there too.
Yeah. So men tend to regulate emotions through actions rather than verbal expression.
Oh, amen, sister. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah. Right? Because let's fix it, right? We're going to fix it.
And if I can't fix it, I have to get that energy out some other way. And it's not through words. I have to do something with my body. Like I'm going to go fix something else. I'm going to go organize the garage and my tools. Or I'm going to, like I have to get it out somehow with my body.
Yeah. Yeah. And this scenario is not fixable. The thing that but you do have an opportunity to, it's never going to be fixed, but you do have an opportunity to be part of the healing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think your role is not defender. Your role is to, I don't want to say healer because it's almost like you're still a main character here, but you're here to be a helper in the healing process.
Yeah. Another thing is that from childhood, boys are often encouraged to see conversations as a mean of negotiating status, asserting autonomy, and avoiding being dominated by others. So this will lead to habitual behaviors like dominating conversations, issuing directives, controlling the conversation topics. So I think that maybe part of that is playing into this.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of sociological and psychological elements to men who respond this way.
And men tend to view conversation as purposeful, goal-driven activity, often focused on information exchange rather than relationship building or emotional support. So viewing it more of an exchange of information versus a bid for support.
Yes, absolutely. And I identify with that. Like, I have to be intentional to be more relational with my conversations because it's much more like the first one.
Yeah. So more psychology behind it is reacting this way can help serve ego protection, because if you center yourself, you avoid grappling with the fact that someone else close to you is hurt in ways that are not fixable.
They don't want to feel helpless.
Yes.
And they feel helpless, but if you can like think about beating them up or like doing something like that, you don't feel helpless anymore. Ironically, as she was the one who felt infinitely more helpless in the situation. But I wonder if part of this guy's responses in general, and I'm not saying that this negates any other parts of their negative reaction that are not healthy, but I just wonder if there's an element of, this feeling that I'm feeling, but don't maybe consciously identify, is I feel helpless to do anything about the situation. It already happened. But in feeling like, I can do something to him now, you don't feel as helpless.
Yeah, and I think also the patriarchal conditioning that men are taught the acceptable feeling is anger.
Yes, correct.
So those reactions tend to be primary.
Sure.
And women, on the flip side, are conditioned to soothe. So women will slip into that caregiver role very easily, especially when faced with a situation where anger is the primary emotion being shown.
Yeah.
And then that cycle kind of repeats itself.
Can I say something again about the feeling helpless?
Yeah.
I really feel like that could be a really big part of it. And I think that, and I'm sure we'll get to this later in the episode, but when I feel helpless, that feels like, there's nothing I can do. But there are things that you can do to be helpful and supportive to her. That maybe like, if you can, instead of just be like, don't react in anger, just sit with your helpless feeling. But instead, don't let your reaction be anger and wanting to dominate this other guy. Instead, how can you help? I mean, we're not just telling men to shut down, this feeling you have to want to help. We're saying that's not the way to help. How can we redirect that energy into something that like, these are concrete tools in my toolbox I can use to be supportive and to help the healing process with her.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's important also to like examine societally why women slip into the caregiver role. And this is more just so that we can understand self, not like shaming that she slipped into that role, because that's a very natural role to slip into, especially when faced with what you're faced with. Mm-hmm. But women are equally conditioned from girlhood and trained to manage men's moods, to smooth over conflict and to prioritize harmony. It's this survival instinct almost. So in abuse or volatile relationships, regulating his emotions is literally like a survival tactic. And
sure. Yeah.
So that muscle memory doesn't disappear. Of course, you're going to feel like you're in that situation again.
That's a very good point.
Many women feel responsible for burdening others with their trauma, so they overcompensate often by softening or redirecting. And we're taught that too.
By example, or like actually instructed, would you say?
I mean, we're just taught not to be a burden. We're supposed to be taking care of other people. I have some scripting here. If you feel like you want to course correct in the middle of a situation like this, some ways to decenter him in the moment is naming what is happening. So like, I need you to stay with me in this moment instead of reacting to your own anger.
Oh, that's good.
I am sharing this because I need to be heard, not because I need you to fix it. You can also redirect back to your needs. Like, right now I need compassion and presence, not solutions or threats. This isn't about your feelings towards my ex. It's about my experience.
These are great.
You can set boundaries around the emotional labor that you're doing too, and say, it feels like I'm having to comfort you when I'm the one who needs support. Or if hearing this is too much, let's pause. but I will not minimize my story.
Mm-hmm.
Some other ideas is like, I don't need you to avenge me. I need you to be with me.
Yeah.
This conversation is not about what you feel like doing. It's about what I lived through. I want you to hear me, not take over the story.
Yeah. Taking over.
You know, if you feel yourself slipping into caregiver mode, you can name your role out loud by saying, I'm sharing this for me, not to manage your reaction. Or please don't make me take care of your feelings right now. You can have some boundaries ready, like I can see this is a lot for you, but I can't step into the role of calming you right now. Or if you need to process your feelings, do that with somebody else. I need you to listen to me. And for guys too, like some ideas is just phrases men probably should say instead.
Yes.
Is,
let's hear some of those too.
I believe you. Thank you for trusting me with this. What do you need from me right now?
Yeah, just if you don't know how to help, is there anything wrong with just asking, how can I help?
Yeah, I think that
it puts more like
it does put more
effort on her
emotional
side.
labor on
Yeah.
her side, but I do think some women would welcome that question. And it might be nothing. It might be, I need you to do nothing. I just need you to listen, Another thing that you could say is, I'm here and I'm listening.
Yeah, that's good.
Support means making space, okay? Not taking over.
Because taking over, you're taking space.
Yes. You want to create as much space for these stories to be shared as possible.
Yeah. Because your angry reaction is enlarging yourself, and there's no room for her feelings and story in that. It's almost like I picture like you opening up a space, like a bubble in front of her that encompasses both of you, and it's her space to do with it what she wants to. But then almost like a little bubble dome. But then your anger can fill up that whole thing, and there's no space for her anymore.
I put together a little role play.
Oh.
Where you're the guy. And I have the centering version of something a guy would say. And then I might have some comments, but then you'll say like the supportive version. So this is like the protector fantasy versus what true support would look like.
Okay. This is pretty much the trope.
Yes.
Or the archetype that this guy demonstrated in this story, in this woman's story.
Yes, this would be an example.
Okay. I'm going to track this guy down. I can't even hear this without losing my mind.
So obviously the story stopped being about her and it became about his imagined hero role, and she disappeared. So a better thing would be to say,
thank you for telling me. I can't imagine how hard that is to say. I believe you. I'm here with you.
Like, what a beautiful thing to say. So emotional collapse versus presence. An example of that would be if you were centering yourself, it would sound like this.
This is too much for me. It's killing me to even hear it. I don't think I can take this on. I'm breaking down.
So suddenly you find yourself in the caregiver role and saying it's okay, and your story goes unheard.
Yeah.
So a better reaction would be,
I can see how heavy this is. And I feel how heavy this is. I'm not going to run from this, though. I'm right here listening. You don't have to comfort me, even if I have emotions about it.
shutting it down versus holding space. So if I disclosed something,
Can we not do this? I can't deal with this kind of stuff. It's really messing with my head.
so that obviously slams the door on any disclosure,
Right.
and his comfort matters more than her pain.
Right. And then the supportive version would sound like, if this in any way feels or seems like I'm overwhelmed by this or seems overwhelming to me, that's mine to figure out and process later. Right now, I want you to feel heard, and I just want you to keep going.
Caregiver reflex versus a boundary. So if I disclosed something, a centered version would sound like,
I can't believe this happened. This hurts me so much.
and like that, I'm back to the caretaker mode.
Oh.
My pain gets erased.
This one's very interesting because I would think that saying that is like, oh, I'm just trying to show that I'm emotionally present. I wouldn't even think that it would trigger a caregiver response.
Yeah, but this idea that, oh, now he's hurting.
Yeah, well, I think that's my point, though, is most guys would not think about, oh, you remember we did the episode on like mental load?
Yeah.
And there are things that we can say that make more mental load for the partner.
Right.
I would not think, like I would have to check myself about what I'm saying. Oh, is this giving you more mental load? Similarly, with this, I would have to check myself and think, oh, I can say this to show my emotions and empathy that I'm hurting with her over this. But is this going to push her into a caretaker role?
Mm-hmm.
Never would have thought that.
Yeah.
So a better thing to say would be, I don't want you to take care of me in this moment. I want to take care of you by listening to what you're saying. So please don't stop talking.
You can hear the difference, obviously. In one version, the man is hijacking the story, and in the other, he keeps the focus on the survivor.
Yeah, it's almost like that defensive energy that I would feel and men would feel. It's not in this situation, it's not needed to go towards the abuser. It's needed to go toward yourself. Like, I need to defend you from all of the... Let me see how I want to phrase this. I want to defend you from him and everything that he represents. And he also represents the negative, male responses. So if I want to defend you against him, I also, in this moment, can defend you against the negative, wrong, centering male responses. So my defensive energy that I'm tempted to use to lash out towards this guy, I need to use it to create space for you and to hold myself in check.
Yeah. Yeah. Defender against
yourself,
essentially.
I need to defend you from what I could possibly do right now. Because I can imagine she shared this for the first time ever. And the vulnerability it takes to share that for the first time. And, not the second, third, like, that's not what I'm saying, but it's a special kind. And so for him to react that way, he did a whole nother, core event.
Yes.
To traumatize her.
It's re-traumatizing.
Yes. So if it was me, I would, would need to defend, you, I'll just use you in this case. I would need to defend you from myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about presence, staying, listening, believing. I don't think men see these as action items, but they are. Staying, listening, being present, believing are all deeply impactful action items that men can do.
Yeah. I feel like it's our role to defend your space, because there are lots of things that want to come in and take away your space. They're like the protector fantasy threatens to take away your space. My emotionally collapsing and shutting down takes away your space. Me somehow making it about me or prompting you to become a caretaker, that's a threat to your space. So I need to defend your space. And it takes a lot of strength and fortitude as a man to do that, when maybe to you, guys like myself, like emotions can be a very I'm uncertain about them. I don't know how to navigate them. Kind of make me anxious, but I need to dig up all this strength that I have to keep those things from taking away your space and sharing something traumatic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost like I'm holding my hands, just trying to fight these things off that are threatening to take your space away from you.
Yeah, that's a good visual.
And so there's a place for masculine defending energy. It's just not towards the attacker. It's towards all of these things that want to use me to take away your space.
Yeah. That was a great discussion, I feel like.
Yeah. And
if you have a story that is similar to this one, just know that your story is valid. It's valid. Your needs matter, and you don't have to minimize your pain just to protect somebody else's comfort. And for the men listening, practice listening without interrupting, without having this need to problem solve or come to the rescue, and without turning it back on yourselves and taking up that space, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's some guys that probably might do it maliciously, but I think there's more guys that do it without realizing it because of just programming. And I think there's guys that do it maybe with some realizing it, but you want to like consciously be better about it.
Yeah.
I think there's different guys that find themselves in different places. I was much more like the second one where I just maybe wasn't even aware of my programming. And then eventually I was like, oh no, I'm aware. Like, I don't want to have responses like that. I want to get better. I just don't know how. Therapy's been good for that for me. And it's hard to have emotionally healthy responses if I'm not emotionally healthy.
True.
That's not what naturally will come out.
Well, that's all I have for us today.
Yeah. Thanks for talking. And thank you to the woman who shared your story. I'm very, very sorry that not only it happened to you, but then that conversation happened to you.
And I hope that you can find in the future a person or people that you can disclose to that will provide you the space that you deserve.
Yeah. I hope so too. And I hope it's impactful for you in a positive way like this one was in a negative way.
Yes. Yes. And that you could have a new core memory.
Yeah. I hope for those of you listening, something was intriguing or sparked a curiosity or you felt affirmed or challenged. Stay educated. Take the pink pill. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a follow and maybe a nice review.